Welcome everyone to Kroger Field in Lexington, Kentucky. This is the SEC on ABC, presented by Capital One. Tonight, old friends, now rivals meet at Kroger Field as #1 Georgia is in Lexington to take on the Kentucky Wildcats. And we're just about ready for the opening kickoff. Sean McDonough with Greg McElroy and Molly McGrath. Kentucky won the toss and elected to defer, so Georgia chose to get the football first, and they have Anthony Evans back to receive the kickoff from Aiden LaRosse. The new kickoff man for Kentucky, native of beautiful Cape Town, South Africa. Georgia 2-0. Routes against Clemson at Tennessee Tech. This is their first true road game of the year. And the opening kickoff is a touchback. We welcome you to Lexington. We get a look at a Georgia team that is trying to win its 42nd straight regular season game against a Kentucky team that needs to get its confidence back after they were hammered last week by South Carolina.
Yeah, tall order. I mean, Georgia right now through the first couple weeks of the season looks like they have very few weaknesses. Very athletic team. Their quarterback Carson Beck has been outstanding, and Kentucky's coming off of maybe their worst performance of the Mark Stoops era, so trying to bounce back in a big way against what appears to be an unstoppable force in Georgia.
Beck, a leading Heisman contender, is off to a terrific start this season. Out of the gun, he hands it off on first down to Trevor Etienne, the transfer from Florida. Ripped down by Zion Childress. It's a gain of 3. It was in this game against Kentucky last year in Athens where Beck emerged as a star. He completed 28 of 35 for 389, which is still his career high, and 4 touchdowns. Etienne again runs for a first down. The 4 touchdowns were his career high until last week when he threw 5 to tie the school record in their rout of Tennessee Tech for the year. 71% completions. That's actually a little bit under his mark from last year when he set the single season Georgia record. 7 touchdown passes and no picks by Beck, the 5th-year senior from Jacksonville. Out of the gun again. Etienne now on his right hip. Beck throws quickly and incomplete in the direction of Dylan Bell with Maxwell Hairston, Kentucky's best cover corner, in coverage, and that's good news for Big Blue Nation that Hairston's out there. He was a question mark with a leg injury suffered last week.
Yeah, absolutely massive to have all your guys at your arsenal, especially in the secondary, working against this passing attack. And Hairston, with 5 interceptions last year, is excellent into the boundary against these great receivers.
Etienne remains the running back. They have 3 wide receivers. Dominic Lovett was the motion man. Beck looked in his direction, takes off under pressure and gets tackled from behind at the 40-yard line by Zion Childress again off a 9-tackle game last week against the Gamecocks. Georgia quickly to the line on 3rd down and 5. And this big crowd trying to help the underdog Kentucky Wildcats, who have lost the last 14 head-to-head against Georgia. Beck under duress and forced to throw it away. Javon Ribga put the pressure on for Kentucky, and Georgia will punt.
And just a 3-man rush up front as Ribga works inside against the left tackle Green. Beats him up inside, flushes Beck from the pocket and forces the throwaway. Excellent pass rush there by Kentucky and a nice start from their defense.
And important to get off to a good start as Brett Thorson will punt. Mark Stoops said the job for his staff, get the confidence back after that demoralizing loss to South Carolina here. A flag thrown and the kick of beauty by Thorson. Now another flag throws and players are being separated on the Kentucky sideline. It started with Dominic Lovett, who's one of the great gunners for Georgia, and Nasir Addison, and it escalated from there. Georgia had not had a punt return this year or all of last year, in large part because Lovett and Arian Smith are outstanding gunners who get quickly down the field. It was a 57-yard punt that went out of bounds inside the 10, but now Kyle Olson and his crew will have to sort this up. Lovett, the starting wide receiver, and Arian Smith take a lot of pride in their role, getting down there quickly in punt coverage. It's astounding they haven't had a punt returned against them last year or this year.
There are multiple fouls on the play, both by the receiving team. During the kick, holding, receiving team, number 21. That's half the distance to the goal from the end of the kick. After the play, unsportsmanlike contact, receiving team, number 99. Half the distance to the goal. That is number 99's first unsportsmanlike foul of the game. First down, Kentucky.
And Mark Stoops doesn't like the explanation.
And Lovett working over here on the right-hand side as the gunner. And number 21, Addison, just grabbing up and around that jersey in the back.
No
Clearly
question about that call.
very obvious, and a retaliation a little bit from Lovett as he slams Addison down right on the Kentucky sideline. A lot of Wildcats coming to their teammates' defense there. And Kentucky with miserable field position after a shaky offensive performance last week. Will start this game against the #1 ranked team on their own 1-yard line.
But not what they were hoping for. Shaky being kind. Brock Vandegrift, the transfer from the University of Georgia. He played against Kentucky last season in a blowout Georgia win in Athens. Relieved Carson Beck in that game. Vandegrift powers straight ahead and got 4 yards to get them out of the hole just a bit.
Vandegrift going to have to be really smart tonight, play with little emotion against his former team. He's going to want to show up. He's going to want to deliver the win, deliver the goods to those wide receivers who I think are excellent really across the board. But you have to be patient against a group like this that has this much talent at all 11 spots defensively.
They completed just 6 passes last week against South Carolina. 3 by Vandegrift. He's in the end zone and in trouble. He's a very good runner, and he's tough, and he slides down at the 22-yard line. A 17-yard gain.
And pressure off the right-hand side, as it's a nice job there at the very end by Sumo Karnbay, the running back, getting just enough of Dan Jackson, the blitzing safety, to allow his quarterback to step up to the outside where Georgia loses contain. And it's a nice gain for Brock Vandegrift on the ground.
With 1 yard of offense last week, the rushing yardage total damaged by the 4 South Carolina sacks. He throws on target and in rhythm to Dane Key for a 6-yard gain. Vandegrift grew up not far from Athens, Georgia, the small town of Bogart. Played at Prince Avenue Christian for his dad, Greg. He was one of the top quarterback recruits in the country. Sat 3 years, 2 behind Stetson Bennett, where they won 2 national titles. Last year behind his great friend Carson Beck. And when Beck told Vandegrift he was coming back for this season, Vandegrift got in the transfer portal, and now he's a Kentucky Wildcat. Jamarion Wilcox, the ball carrier, and he came up a yard short of the first down with a 3-yard pickup.
You'll see quite a bit of Jamarion Wilcox today. He's got a lot of speed, but the top 2 backs coming into the season, Chip Trayanum and Jason Patterson, both out.
They tried to go quickly.
The offense substitute on the play. The defense must be given an opportunity to sub as well. Remain slowed down.
Well, this crowd was not thrilled with the officiating last week when Mark Stoops' team was called for 11 penalties, 10 of them in the second half. So it'll still be 3rd down and 1. Those were the numbers from a week ago. A lot of self-inflicted mistakes. The biggest problem last week was they just couldn't pass block for Brock Vandagriff. Play fake on 3rd down and 1. He, with a flag down, is down on the Georgia sideline. Blasted by Nazir Stackhouse. But there are flags down, thrown in the defensive backfield by the back judge, Chris Bukowski.
Prior to the pass, holding, defense, number 10. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot, automatic, first down.
Damon Wilson called for the penalty. And that gives Kentucky a first down at their own 41-yard line.
Just a big penalty there and a huge call. It looked like a broken play. Vandagriff had a couple receivers open, but did look like on a mesh concept. Wilson grabbed a jersey, and it results in an easy first down for the Wildcats.
Interesting, they went to a pass play on 3rd down and 1, but the penalty gives them the conversion. Here's Demi Sumo Karnbay, who'll be their featured running back, and he's dropped by Damon Wilson for a 1-yard loss.
So important for Kentucky to get the run game going tonight for Bush Hamdan, the offensive coordinator. They had it going a little bit last week, but was forced to get out of it as a result of the way that game kind of went. It got away from them late, but they felt like they had it going a little bit early going, but just not good in pass pro.
They want to establish the run and then take some deep shots through their play action pass game. Sumo Karnbay showed himself to be a tough runner, particularly inside last week. He got tackled there by Jalen Walker. They're really without a home run hitter at running back. Those numbers for Sumo Karnbay would have been better last week had he not had a couple of long runs called back due to penalty. They're waiting for the return to health of Chip Trainum, the transfer from Ohio State, who's out with a broken hand and likely out for at least a few more weeks. He'll be their #1 running back when healthy. So they have to do it in bits and pieces on the ground. Vandagriff, far sideline, caught. Dane Key again. First down into Georgia territory at the 47-yard line. This looks nothing like the Kentucky team they saw a week ago.
And man coverage working against one of the best safeties in America, Malachi Starks. The timing on the throw from Brock Vandagriff was off the charts good. He's able to anticipate that throw. As a result, Malachi Starks could not recover once the initial separation was made, and an excellent conversion.
Mark Stoops said job one, bring the confidence level back up. This looks like a confident football team to start the game. Raylan Wilson dropped Sumo Karnbay at the line of scrimmage.
Wow, a moment ago, that was a great conversion on 3rd and 8 for Mark Stoops' offense. They can't make a living being behind the sticks against a pass rushing unit like this. They have so much speed and athleticism, and Mark Stoops knows they have to be efficient on 1st and 2nd down to avoid those obvious passing situations against a violent pass rush.
That pass rush without Michael Williams, one of the top defensive players in the country, did not dress for the game tonight with a lower body injury. Vandagriff looked downfield and took the check down. The tight end Josh Caddis with his first catch of the season. Short gain to the 44, and they're looking at 3rd down and 7. Already 3 completions.
Against a group like Georgia, most teams are going to be a little bit more thoughtful as it relates to 4th down, being a little more aggressive. So Bush Hamdan here might, depending on what they gain here, have the freedom to call a 4th down play as well. So imperative not to take lost yardage here and at least make this decision for Mark Stoops.
10th play of the drive, which started at their own 1. Georgia brings a blitz. Vandagriff lost the football, and it's recovered by Dylan Ray. Gabe Harris, the blitzer, knocked it out. And Dylan Ray, who's starting at left guard tonight for the injured Jagger Burton, recovered the fumble.
And they just bring a pressure where they cross-face the left guard, Dylan Ray, who's filling in for the injured Jagger Burton like you referenced, and he just can't stay engaged. Vandagriff tries to get rid of the football, but loses it as he tries to avoid the rush. Got to be smart and keep 2 hands on the football, or else that could have gone the other way.
Wilson buried a punt. Anthony Evans signals for a fair catch and makes it, then got bumped on the catch. No flag, 40-yard punt. Carson Beck and the Dogs will start from the 13. Each team has had it once, no score.
An emotional night for Kentucky linebacker Jamon Dumas Johnson and quarterback Brock Vandagriff taking on their former team for the very first time. And during warm-ups, Dumas Johnson took the field. He immediately ran to Georgia's sideline, hugged seemingly every member of their staff, a bunch of their coaches and defensive players, while Vandagriff took a different approach, avoiding distractions, not saying hi to anyone in Georgia Red. He was locked in, but Vandagriff still friends with a lot of the former teammates. He and Carson Beck talk almost every day. He FaceTimed with a group of Bulldogs defensive players on Thursday, and his former roommate Chaz Chambliss said, "Buckle up."
The defense for Kentucky is buckled up tonight. That's Zion Childress again, dropping Trevor Etienne back near the 8-yard line.
And Zion Childress the last couple weeks has played outstanding football for Brad White, the defensive coordinator. He actually leads the team in tackles for loss, adds another one right there, filling in and making a play behind the sticks.
They felt their defense played very well last week for the most part against South Carolina, particularly Childress and Deion Walker, the Mammoth defensive lineman at 6'8". Dominic Lovett dropped at the line of scrimmage. It's that man Childress again, the fifth-year senior from Houston who transferred here from Texas State.
And just big time right here by Childress. We're going to get to Jurasik, who's an excellent blocker out on the perimeter. He goes right around him and makes the play for minimal gain.
That was a whiff by Jurasic, the Stanford transfer. This crowd is into it. Much better start than many would have anticipated here in Lexington.
Capital One cardholders can get their own rewarding performance when they redeem their credit card rewards for tickets to exclusive events and experiences on Capital One Entertainment. Scan the code on your screen to learn more. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Sun setting on a gorgeous day here in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Still 80 degrees. Light breeze, beautiful night to be in the Taco Bell Live Más student section all season long. Students around the country competing to be the Taco Bell Live Más student section of the year. Download the Taco Bell app to learn more. This crowd fully engaged after the timeout. Georgia looking at 3rd down and 15 from its own 8-yard line. Carson Beck is 1 for 3 for 0 yards passing. Trevor Etienne, the running back, on his left hip. Low snap. He scoops it up. It's deflected and falls incomplete. Intended for Etienne. Dion Walker, their preseason All-American defensive lineman, got a hand on it. It was thrown off by the mishandle of the snap.
Dion Walker working right against Jared Wilson, the center, forces the snap that's just a touch low. One that Beck probably should have handled. He tries to lose it immediately where Walker's there again and tips it before the ball falls incomplete. It's been a terrific start from Kentucky's defensive front.
Jared Wilson, the center's the only new starter on the offensive lineman. This is his first true road game. So Thorson on the punt for the 2nd time. Very little breeze to speak of. It's high but short. Took a good Georgia bounce, went out of bounds near midfield. This is the Dr. Pepper Championship Drive Game of the Week.
You're watching the Dr. Pepper Championship Drive Game of the Week.
Georgia Bulldogs hoping to drive to another national championship. They won back-to-back titles under Kirby Smart in 2021 and 2022. Number one most of last year. They only lost last season in the SEC title game to Alabama, which kept them out of the 4-team playoff. Big favorites tonight, but he anticipated a tough battle. Said it's always difficult when they come to Lexington. Brock Vandagriff on target to Barrion Brown, their leading receiver from a year ago, who did not have a catch in the opener. He had a catch in 27 games to start his career before last week.
Clearly a lot of respect being showed by Dalen Everett. Barrion Brown's got big-time speed over the top. It's well protected along the front, something that was a huge problem for Kentucky last week. Give Vandagriff plenty of time to throw, and he throws a strike for a nice conversion.
They had concerns even more about their offensive line playing without Jagger Burton tonight, who had started 27 straight games at left guard. Dylan Ray's in at left guard. Gerald Mincey's the right tackle. He was in and out of last week's game and was a question mark. There's a flag thrown. Jamarion Wilcox had his helmet come off. Chaz Chambliss, Brock Vandagriff's former roommate at Georgia, made the tackle. Smalley said Chambliss and Vandagriff remain very close friends.
Personal foul, face mask, offense, number 85, 15-yard penalty, Still first down.
Jordan Dingle, reminiscent of last week for Mark Stoops. A lot of self-inflicted wounds in the loss to South Carolina. And he got his helmet ripped off by the face mask by Malachi Starks.
Right, and you can see Malachi Starks right there. I mean, left hand just pulls the face mask right off. I'm surprised if nothing else. It's tough to see exactly what they saw with Dingle, at least from that perspective. But man, I don't know how they don't call that at the end there on Starks.
That was clear as could be. Play fake to Sumo Karngbae, and a short reception for Jamori Macklin, the transfer from North Texas, for a 5-yard gain.
Looking at, there it is, as you can see, Dingle working against Chambliss with that left hand up in the face mask. That was a good call, but one missed on the end of the play that would have resulted in offsetting. So a bad break there from Kentucky.
Looking at 2nd down and 20. Jamarion Wilcox in the pistol. They're without Jason Patterson, their true freshman, played last week. He was injured against the Gamecocks. Deflected and intercepted, but out of bounds. Off the hands of Barryon Brown. Dalen Everett snatched it out of the air, but he was ruled to be out of bounds on the Kentucky sideline.
And it was a well-thrown ball there by Vandegrift. Had to get it up and over a Georgia defender. Everett trying to maintain concentration. Ball still moving there, though, when that right foot goes out of bounds and drops. Were a huge problem for Kentucky last year. It's been a little better this season, but right there, almost a critical error.
5 out of 6 is Vandegrift. That was his first incomplete pass. He didn't complete a pass after the midpoint of the first quarter last week. 3rd down and 20. Design run for Vandegrift following Sumo Karngbae, perhaps hoping to get into field goal range. Alex Rayner's career long is 50. That's a 6-yard gain. This would be about 53 from here. Yeah, they are sending him out. It's actually, based on where the holder is about to spot the ball, going to be a 55-yard attempt for Rayner, one of the best kickers in the country. Over the last 3 seasons, the most accurate kicker in the country. Made 31 of his last 34. This would be a career long, and it is good from 55. Rayner was 1 for 5 in his career beyond 50 yards, but he had enough on that one to get Kentucky first on the board.
Good snap, good hold, and Rayner drives this one a little bit lower than you would on most of his kicks, but you have to, and it sneaks inside the upright. Watching it all the way, and a great reaction there from Rayner.
He started his career at Georgia Southern, 3 years there. Now in his 2nd season here. He has 338 career points. That's 2nd in all of college football among active players, behind only Jonah Dalmas of Boise State. He has 420 career points. Rayner's not going to catch him. Both of these teams have outstanding field goal kickers. And Kentucky first on the board. Georgia has still not given up a touchdown this season. They came into tonight not having allowed a touchdown in the last 3 games. Gave up just a field goal to Florida State in the Capital One Orange Bowl. A field goal to Clemson this season in the opener in Atlanta. And a field goal on the last play of the game in a 48-3 win in Athens last week against Tennessee Tech. And that 55-yard field goal is the longest in Kentucky history, surpassing a 54-yarder by Austin McGinnis in 2014. End over end. The Aiden LaRosse kickoff, and Anthony Evans let it go over his head. Here's Molly.
Well, Sean, former Bulldog and Kentucky linebacker Jamon Dumas Johnson told us the key against a team like Georgia is to jump on them early and shock them because they're not used to being punched first. Georgia is always the bully, but this Kentucky team, emotional and energized. Dumas Johnson telling his teammates on the sideline, keep striking them in the mouth. Don't let up. We have to ride this momentum. And guys, this is a different Kentucky team than the one that we saw just last week.
Yeah, that was the key, said Jamon Dumas Johnson. They needed to be physical, and so far they have been. Nothing like the start Beck had against Kentucky last year. He completed his first 13 passes. He's 1 for 4 tonight. Takes the check down to Arian Smith. And the speedy wide receiver got across the 30-yard line. Run down by J.Q. Hardaway.
The biggest keys when playing against Georgia is you have to match their physicality, which is so hard for most teams to do. Kentucky won't have a problem with that. This is a tough football team. Now, how do they match up athletically? Last year, Georgia made it a track meet. It was a real problem for Kentucky, but so far, their defense especially, they've gotten some pressure on Carson Beck, making them uncomfortable.
Quick hitter on the ground for Trevor Etienne. And he's ahead for a first down. Pass play to Smith, got 7. We're down to 2 minutes to go in the first quarter. Last year in Athens, Kentucky went there 5-0, giving up 15 points per game, albeit against a weak schedule. And Georgia just put it on them. One of those nights when everything went right. Trevor Etienne in trouble behind the line of scrimmage and did well to get back to the line. Deion Walker there to help Keyshawn Silver in the middle of that defensive line after Zion Childress couldn't get Etienne on the ground.
It's going to be a terrific matchup all night long. It's this offensive line for Georgia, not just in pass protection, but their ability to impose their will at the line of scrimmage and recreate and dent that defensive line is something that they've done forever. But this defensive line in particular, extremely big, headlined by Deion Walker there in the middle at 350 pounds.
Branson Robinson, the running back, on 2nd and 10. And he is stacked up and driven back. De'Eric Jackson leading the way. Their leading tackler each of the previous 2 seasons, and #1 in stops entering tonight.
Last year, Georgia, one of the best teams in America on 3rd down. And so far this year, they have not been nearly as good, mostly because they've been playing behind the sticks, a lot of 3rd and longs. We've seen Brad White rush 3 and drop 8 already today. They brought a little pressure. Let's see what he opts to do here. Looks like a pressure look with man behind it from Kentucky in the pre-snap lineup.
Georgia was 55% on 3rd down last year. Well below that, as Greg said. And they're not going to convert that 3rd down. Colby Young, the transfer from Miami, did all he could to lunge for the marker and didn't get there. He did get 7, stopped by J.Q. Hardaway and Jordan Lovett. And Kirby Smart is going to let the first quarter end. Or is he? He's gesturing as if he wanted it to end. And they are going to let the time run out. Well, Kentucky more than a 3-touchdown underdog. Leads 3-0 after 1. ESPN's presentation of college football on ABC will return after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Team after the drubbing here last week, up 3-0. It looks like Georgia's going to go for 4th and 1 from its own 47 on the first play of the 2nd quarter. I like this move for Georgia.
And Kentucky jumped off sides in a 4th and 1 last week against South Carolina. That kind of broke their backs. Let's see if Georgia at least tries to go hard count.
Trevor Etienne, the running back. Arian Smith goes in motion. Will they snap it? Oscar Delp, the tight end, shifts to the left. Beck gesturing like he isn't going to snap it. And this time Kentucky disciplined. I'm surprised they didn't go for it, Greg. You're the #1 team in the country. You've won 41 regular season games in a row. You're on your heels a bit. You know, here's a chance perhaps to take momentum away from this Kentucky team and this crowd.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it at all when you have the superior roster. If you've been running the ball with efficiency, which they have at times in this game, but field position game, they probably believe that they can probably get things sorted out with how Kentucky played last week offensively, and they're just running hot right now.
Team that really struggled last week. Brett Thorson punts for the 3rd time, and it goes into the end zone. Georgia punted once against Kentucky in their 51-13 win last year in Athens. Next week, more primetime SEC action on ABC. What a matchup. Number 7 Tennessee against 15th ranked Oklahoma, presented by Capital One. Tennessee's playing Kent State tonight, leading 23-0. And Oklahoma beat Tulane today to go to 3-0. Georgia has won 10 straight games when trailing after the first quarter. It doesn't happen often. And they're 32 yards in the first quarter, their fewest in an opening 15 minutes since 2019, when they had 11 yards of offense against Texas A&M.
It's been a really good performance by Kentucky defensively, just mixing their looks and making Carson Beck a little uncomfortable.
Pretty solid offensively as well. Nothing flashy. They get it to Barryon Brown. And the junior from Nashville ducked down at the 23, a gain of 3. Jonel Aguero on the stop for the Georgia defense.
It obviously starts up front for Kentucky. I mean, you have to be able to protect your quarterback, but I think Bush Hamdan, the offensive coordinator, has done a good job of mixing up the looks offensively too. Some runs inside, some runs outside, some quick throws, and then a couple deep play action shots as well to keep Georgia guessing.
The pistol, Demi Sumo Karnbay, transfer from NC State, across the 25. Jonel Aguero in on the stop again. He missed the opener against Clemson and returned last week in the win against Tennessee Tech. 3rd down and 4. Three receivers, and now they send Sumo Karnbay out in motion.
Man coverage for Georgia defensively.
Vandegrift 6 out of 7. He zings one on the quick slant for a first down. Dane Key made the catch for a gain of 8. They have 3 1,000-yard career receivers at Kentucky. None of them a factor last week.
And just a great job identifying man coverage when the running back left the backfield in motion and the linebacker went with them. You knew that you had one-on-one. So go and find your most reliable target on the outside. That's Dane Key, who's big, physical, and did a great job setting up that slant route by being patient at the top of the stem.
Back to the pistol, play action pass. Vandegrift in trouble after a safety blitz from the freshman KJ Bolden, and he wisely threw it away. Vandegrift is at Kentucky in part because of his performance against the Wildcats last year. After Georgia got way ahead, Vandegrift went in the game and looked terrific. Completed 5 of 7 for 46 and a touchdown and 2 rushes for 27 yards. And he went in the portal. Kentucky jumped on him. Anthony Brown Stevens got rocked at the 37-yard line. Vandegrift, 4th quarter, 2:38 left in the game on a 4th and goal. He found Andrew Paul for the touchdown. He threw for 46 after Beck put up 389. Brock said he would still be at Georgia had Beck gone to the NFL. And Carson Beck told us Vandegrift was among the very first people he told he was staying to give Brock the chance to get into the portal as early as possible. 3rd down and 7. Vandegrift throws short, and a good tackle by Julian Humphrey to chop down Demi Sumo Karnbay for a gain of 1. And here comes a Kentucky punt.
It's Anticipating man coverage across the board. They get man coverage on the right side, but they get some zone coverage on the left side. This is a combo coverage by Georgia. Thinking you're going to get a shallow cross because of a pick, a natural pick, or a rub as offensive players, and he's going to be out the back door with a lot of speed. And they have a zone coverage defender waiting right for him. Great call.
Wilson Berry, the 26-year-old Australian, brother of Jordan Berry, who's punted in the NFL for Minnesota and Pittsburgh. And it's down near the 20. The 43-yard punt.
Yards on the punt.
Greg McElroy ordering as we speak. Georgia just 32 yards of offense. 3.5 minutes into the second quarter. Carson Beck. The short completion over the middle to Dominic Lovett. A gain of 3. Just the 14th play run by the Dogs. Kentucky has run 20. Kentucky has a 2-1 edge right now in time of possession. There are the numbers we just referenced. Carson Beck's 4 out of 7, but just 17 yards passing. And they are definitely taking their time at the line of scrimmage. Trevor Etienne, tackled by De'Aaron Jackson. That's a 5-yard gain for Etienne, who did not play in the opener, made his Georgia debut last week and was explosive in a brief appearance. 5 carries for 78 yards. Georgia's 0 for 3 on 3rd down. This is 3rd and a long 2.
Against the 3-man front, you might try to run it if you're Mike Bobo, the offensive coordinator.
Etienne's the running back. They rush just those 3. Beck, a lot of time. The pass deflected and still caught by Lovett for a 1st down at the 44-yard line. It was Jordan Lovett who tipped the pass that was caught by Dominic Lovett.
Wow, what unbelievable concentration by Dominic Lovett. Jordan Lovett almost goes up and grabs it, but somehow Lovett picks it up off his shoelaces.
Big break for Georgia. They were looking at another punt. Had that not gone their way, Etienne carries. J.J. Weaver the tackle.
Man, I mean, bad decision there by Carson Beck, late over the middle, but very fortunate that not only is his guy able to snag it, but they're not punting from deep in their own end yet again.
And there's an injured Georgia player. It's their standout right guard, Tate Ratledge.
Picking up on the play, number 69, Tate Ratledge from Georgia. We'd like to thank tonight's game sponsor, UK Healthcare, Kentucky's #1 hospital.
Saturday Night Football is presented by Capital One. What's in your wallet? And in part by Taco Bell.
During the break between the first and second quarter, Tim Couch on his way to the College Football Hall of Fame, saluted by the crowd here. Received his framed acknowledgement from Matt Sign of the National Football Foundation and College Football Hall of Fame. What a great quarterback he was. So Ratledge helped off. And that's a big loss if he can't return. He's a preseason All-American by the Associated Press. He has started 31 games in a row. Micah Morris and Dylan Fairchild are now the guards. Morris had been rotating in with Fairchild at the left guard. Now it looks like he'll be the right guard. Second and 7, Georgia. They haven't run a play in Kentucky territory yet. Etienne won't get to Cat territory as he swung down at the line of scrimmage by Daverin Rayner, a linebacker who rotates in, transfer from Northern Illinois. Third down and 7. The Dogs 1 out of 4 on third down. Etienne, the running back. 4 receivers for Carson Beck.
Heavy man tendencies here from defensive coordinator Brad White. They're a zone team, but on 3rd and 7+ is when you start to see a lot of man coverage from the Cats.
They very rarely blitz. They bring pressure at Beck, and the throw's incomplete. Pops up in the air. Zion Childress down the sideline. Touchdown, Kentucky. Off the hands of Dominic Lovett. It wasn't a great throw, in part because of the pressure, and Childress brought it back 55.
They'll definitely take a look at this as it's going to the ground. Does the ball hit the ground before it's popped up into the air and to the awaiting arms of Childress? It does look like initially that ball does hit the ground. As Lovett's going for it. He made such a great catch a moment ago at his shoelaces. This one's off the mark, and to me, of course, has to be indisputable video evidence beyond all doubt to overturn, but it certainly looks like the ball hits the ground and then pops up into the air. So I would not be that surprised if this thing's ruled incomplete. What a huge play.
Welcome to the ESPN Pylon Cam, brought to you by Progressive. And let's bring in Matt Austin, our rules expert. Matt, what do you see here?
Well, this is going to be an interesting call for the replay booth, because if the receiver had maintained control of this ball, would they have called it a catch? He looked like he had firm control. The ball's allowed to hit the ground as long as it doesn't move. Doesn't look like it moved until the receiver rolled over. Then it popped up. So that's a big decision for the replay booth.
Matt, is it a situation where there might just not be enough video evidence to overturn?
That's always true too. But like you said, the ball did touch the ground. Did he have control? The only person that really knows is the receiver.
I guess the question I would ask then, Matt, is it possible that they ruled this a catch and then he's down and the ball came out after he's down? It would be a completed pass for Georgia.
That's always a possibility if they say had firm control. But then again, the argument is, how firm could it be if the ball popped out so easy? So you're probably looking at an incomplete pass.
That would seem to make sense. Jim Laborde is the replay official. You know, Mark Stoops didn't want to sound like he was bemoaning bad luck a week ago, said we didn't play well. We were our own worst enemy. But there were a lot of things that went against them last week. 4 times South Carolina fumbled, and Kentucky didn't recover any of them.
After video review, the pass was incomplete. There is no touchdown. It'll be 4th down at the minus 28-yard line.
I think they got that right. I think you and Matt agree.
Well, it takes the wind out of the sails, and the initial jubilation of a pick 6 still just held one of the best offenses in the country to yet another punt. So this defense is playing excellent football right now. So now Mark Stoops going to try to make sure that the guys acknowledge the silver lining, even though the touchdown was taken off the board.
Yeah, and again, it's 4th down for Georgia. Fourth and 7. Jamori Macklin back for the punt. Georgia still has not committed a turnover this year, forcing another really good punt that goes out of bounds inside the 10. Brad White said Kentucky really needs 2 takeaways if they can get them on defense tonight to help their cause. Kick off your Week 2 NFL Sunday at 10 a.m. with the Countdown crew on ESPN and the app. They'll have the early breaking stories, injury updates, previews of each game right up to kickoff, and then Week 2 of Monday Night Football on ESPN, ESPN Deportes, and ESPN Plus. The Atlanta Falcons against the Philadelphia Eagles with Peyton and Eli on ESPN2. Scott Van Pelt and the Monday Night Countdown crew get you started at 6 p.m. Tate Ratledge going into the medical tent on the Georgia sideline.
I hate to see that. A guy that's had some ups and downs in his career, been there a long time and has had some injury woes, so hate that he's on the card now going to get evaluated.
Play fake by Brock Vandagriff out of the end zone. Incomplete over the head of Anthony Brown-Stevens with Jonel Aguero in coverage.
It's just amazing the night and day difference that we're seeing from Kentucky's offensive line. I mean, last week just constant penetration, constant pressure, and now holding up against a defensive front that is outstanding even without 2 of their best players in Brinson and Michael Williams, who are unavailable tonight.
From their own 8-yard line. 2nd and 10, Kentucky. Vandagriff kept it, and he scampers out of bounds at the 14-yard line. Here's Molly.
Sean, you saw Georgia right guard Tate Ratledge being taken back to the locker room on a cart with his left shoe off. I'm told he has a left ankle and a left knee injury, and he is ruled out for the rest of the game. So they're going to have to play without one of their most consistent offensive linemen, guys.
His career got started slowly due to injury, but once he got healthy, 31 straight starts. We mentioned preseason All-American, a top NFL prospect. 3rd down and 4 midway through the 2nd quarter. Kentucky has the game going exactly as it would have hoped. Under duress, Vandagriff got hit by Jalen Walker, and the pass thrown incomplete, and now there's a late flag, a couple of them behind the line of scrimmage, and the crowd thinks it's going against Walker.
Walker hit Vandagriff so hard. Did he drive through all the way to the ground with all his body weight?
Personal foul, roughing the passer. Defense, number 93. They're driving the quarterback into the ground. 15-yard penalty, automatic, 1st down.
Called on Ty Ingram Dawkins, getting the start in the absence of Michael Williams tonight.
And it just so unfortunate for a defender. You make a great play. Man, I mean, he definitely drove the quarterback to the ground, but I don't know what you can ask. I mean, he doesn't do anything unnecessary. He
got
wraps
the wrong
up
guy as well.
Definitely. It's Walker who the penalty was on, but man, that just didn't seem too egregious on the hit on Vandagriff.
Ingram Dawkins pleading his case with the coaches. It wasn't me. Play fake. They want to get more of this. He got it off just in time, and it is caught on the far sideline. There's a flag down. They're ruling it a catch. The Dogs, with the play right on their sideline, thought it was incomplete. It's a 15-yard gain if it stands. There's also a flag.
Yeah, I mean, that was wild. Just unbelievable concentration from Ferrier. Looked like there was a collision between him and the corner on the sideline. Somehow he was able to concentrate just enough to tap those toes before he went out of bounds.
Kyle Olson having a long conversation with his crew. Ferrier's a transfer from UAB. He played 3 years, his first year here at Kentucky. And the officials having a very long conversation trying to sort this out. And the fans starting to boo.
There is no foul for defensive pass interference. Personal foul, hands to the face, defense, number 55. 15 yards will be added to the end of the play. 1st down.
Jamal Jarrett called for the penalty. The backup defensive lineman, sophomore from Greensboro, North Carolina.
Jarrett's working right against the center in the middle of the screen. You'll see his left hand getting up into the face of Eli Cox as he's trying to disengage right there. And a good call by the center judge. You'll see the flag fly in there from the bottom left corner of the screen. And how about the concentration?
They're going back to look at the catch. Looks like he caught the ball. Question is, did he complete the catch? The other question is the first foot come down in bounds? We'll talk more about that when we come back.
After video review, it is an incomplete pass. The receiver's left foot was out of bounds when he controlled the football. However, there is a personal foul, hands in the face, 15 yards from the previous spot, the automatic first down.
From our crew. It's an incomplete pass. On the replay review, you see his foot, Ferrier's foot, is out of bounds. He hasn't caught the ball yet. But they still get the 15 yards on the hands to the face penalty. So 1st and 10 Kentucky at its own 44, leading 3-0 more than midway through the second quarter. Play action pass. Vandegrift had to get rid of it, and it's broken up beautifully by Dan Jackson, the 6th-year senior. It was intended for Dane Key.
That ball was in the air for a long time on the over route. It was a great break by Jackson and well defended, and it looks like a guy, offensive lineman for Kentucky, the right tackle Gerald Mincey, is going to have to come out of this play because his helmet was off a moment ago. So let's see if they attack the backup, Malachi Wood.
In at right tackle, redshirt freshman who has played in the first 2 games in a backup role. 2nd and 10. Vandegrift kept it. They think the jet sweep to Ferrier, and he got dumped by Ty Ingram Dawkins. We talked to Bush Hamden about Michael Williams not playing tonight for Georgia. He said, I don't see much drop off when I watch number 93.
He's really come on here and in the system for a few years. And there's so many guys on this Georgia defensive line that can take over the game. But here in a 3rd and long situation, my eyes always seem to go towards number 11, Jalen Walker. He's lined up here at the top, and he is a handful off the edge.
Had 5 sacks last year to lead their team. Vandegrift found some running room, has the first down, and then slides down to the Georgia 43.
And just a great job here by the offensive line and the running back. How about Sumo Karmbe saving a life as Ingram Dawkins breaks free. Probably going to have a sack if not for the great play there by the running back. And Vandegrift told us a couple weeks ago, hey, I'm not sliding if it's third down or if it's touchdowns. There, he did slide, so a good move, but he got the line to gain first.
15-yard gain. Play fake, and Ingram Dawkins is there again. And this time he got him. Nobody got in the way of the redshirt junior from Gaffney, South Carolina. Second sack for the Dogs.
Man, I'll tell you what, they have a tight end over there to help. Mincy's blocking down. Caddis is trying to block down, but Ingram Dawkins just way too strong as he works right inside, spin move, and drops Vandegrift for a big sack.
Without Williams last week, he had 3 tackles for a loss. That was a career high. Of course, it was against lesser competition, against Tennessee Tech. Program rebuilding under terrific coach Bobby Wilder. Look out! Vandegrift hit and lost the ball. Raylan Wilson knocked it free, and Damon Wilson has it.
And you'll see right here, Wilson taking off, sees it initially. Caddis loses him. And Vandegrift, we said it earlier, put the ball on the deck a little earlier. You gotta have 2 hands on the football. He has 1 hand on the football right there. When the defender hits him, Glenn Schumann, the defensive coordinator, saying takeaways have been a huge point of emphasis. They haven't had as many as they want this year, but a big one here that now gives their offense life right outside the red zone.
Looked like a whiff by Josh Caddis, who was also involved in the problem on the previous play. 28 yards, the change in field position. First time George has been in Kentucky territory tonight with under 5 minutes to go in the half. Arian Smith fumbled the football, and Georgia recovers at the line of scrimmage. And now they're going to rule it an incomplete pass that he never had full possession. Arian Smith.
He's so good with the ball in his hands, but drops and concentration have been a little bit of an issue. Like there, never really got the ball into his body. See those Kentucky defenders reaching for that football and dropping them. Unfortunate they called it incomplete.
And Childress broke it up. Georgia just 58 yards of offense. Kirby Smart said we've struggled in recent years in our SEC road opener. Last year at Auburn, it took them a long time to get control of the game. Really just pulled away late. ETN rumbles down to the 16. A couple of years ago out of Missouri, very early. The SEC schedule on the road. That one went all the way down to the wire. Third down and 3. The 1 out of 5 on third down. They have Branson Robinson in as the third down running back.
Looks like pressure here being called from Kentucky. You might have a one-on-one down here at the bottom of your screen. Let's see if they work it to Colby Young.
Big target in the red zone. They go to the other side. It's broken up. Trying to jam it into Oscar Delp. He was crowded by a couple of defenders, including De'Aaron Jackson and the former Bulldog, Jamon Dumas Johnson.
Just great job of disguising there. It looked like there were a bunch of defenders to the right-hand side, which is a quarterback. You're kind of thinking, why are there so many guys in gray jerseys to the right-hand side? I'm thinking maybe there's pressure coming. Maybe there's a blitz coming. Maybe they're going to roll down. Instead, they drop back out into a cover 2 look, forces the underneath, and they break on the play for the incompletion.
Hayden Woodring, the sophomore, trying to tie it with a 34-yard field goal. Carson Beck is the holder. And Woodring remains money. Now 26 for 30 in his career. You're watching the SEC on ABC from Kroger Field in Lexington, Kentucky. Sunday Night Baseball tomorrow night on ESPN, ESPN Deportes, and ESPN Radio, 7 Eastern Time. The Dodgers and the Atlanta Braves. Coverage begins at 6 with baseball tonight. Dodgers leading the NL West. The Braves in a real fight for a wild card spot, battling injuries much of the year. Here are the numbers for the quarterbacks. Tonight we came on the air talking about old friends, now rivals, and Vandegrift outplaying to this point the man who used to back up.
That's right, Sean. Vandegrift is known for his toughness. He prides himself in that. From that last drive, he nicked up his elbow a bit. It's bleeding considerably, so they wrapped his left arm because it was bleeding so much. But he told us, I'm not afraid to run with it. I'm not afraid to show my toughness. You can tell he's winning his team over with his play here tonight. And he told his teammates, I'm fine, and waved them off when they checked on him, guys.
Had a bit of a shoulder issue. Georgia well aware of his toughness. Practiced against them regularly for the last 3 years. Darion Brown, no chance to return the Peyton Woodring kickoff. You know, we talked with both sides. We asked Vandegrift, Bush, Hamden, do you have any kind of an edge? Because Vandegrift's so familiar with the Georgia defense. And the other way around, the Georgia defense knows Vandegrift, and both sides kind of seem to think it was a non-factor.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a factor. Look, there is an intimidation factor when you play against a team like Georgia defensively. And knowing that Brock Vandegrift went against that every single day in practice for the last 3 or 4 years, he's seen every pressure they could run. He's seen every coverage they could run. So it feels like the learning curve. For some guys, it's hard to ramp things up to play against this type of speed and this type of aggressiveness, and he saw it every day, so not quite as difficult for him.
On first down, after the good job by the Kentucky defense to hold after the turnover, Demi Sumo Karngbae tackled by Smile Munden after pickup of 5. Smile Munden, one of the stalwarts on the Georgia defense. He and Jamon Dumas-Johnson remain very close friends. They talk just about every day. You know, they're on separate teams now. Quick hole for Sumo Karngbae. He goes down a yard short of the line to gain. Chaz Chambliss the stop. Kentucky lines up quickly. Feels like an important play here late in the first half. On 3rd and 1, 3 minutes to go. Sumo Karngbae bounced outside, has a first down. Now at the 46-yard line, 12 yards on the run.
And they've hit it up inside many, many times, but this time Ingram Dawkins tries to take a peek inside, and as a result he loses contain, and Demi Sumo Karngbae is out to the edge. Time and time again, stay patient. Georgia that time peeking inside, and it led to a big run.
That was Trevor Etienne, the Georgia running back, going to the dressing room. 2.5 to go in the half. 3 timeouts for Georgia, 2 for Kentucky. Another fumble. Ellis Robinson, the true freshman, blasted it out of the arms of Jordan Dingle. Everett who blasted it. And Dingle recovered the fumble.
Just a perfect hit there by Everett, who puts his helmet shoulder right on the football. Boom, right there, and dislodged. And fortunate for Kentucky, the Dingle's waiting right there.
This is the SEC on ABC, presented by Capital One. ESPN supports the College Football Playoff Foundation's Extra Yard for Teachers Week each year to celebrate great teachers across the country who have inspired so many of us. Nominate a great teacher in your community by visiting cfpfoundation.org. 2nd and 6 out of the 2-minute timeout for Brock Vandagriff and Kentucky in a 3-3 game. They're at midfield. Demi Sumo Karnbe trying to find some room, and he did well. The tackle knocked him forward. Close to the line to gain. The 5-yard gain, 3rd down and 1.
And Demi Sumo Karnbe does a good job, man. I mean, very patient, not a home run hitter at running back, but extremely patient, has good vision, and is really decisive when he decides to go and put his foot down and accelerate.
4 out of 7 on 3rd down. Trying to take the clock all the way down and score as late as they can. But first, they need the 1st down, and it looks like Sumo Karnbe has it. He does.
We need to start being a little mindful of the clock. I mean, now approaching 80 seconds remaining. You need to have a little bit more urgency offensively so you can hang on to those timeouts.
1:20 to go. A lot of time given their field position. Fred Ferrier run the clock off the stop by Dalen Everett. They're now on field goal range after we saw the record-setting 55-yarder from Rayner in the 1st quarter. They do go quickly this time. Sumo Karnbe then bounced off the hit, got close to the 1st down again. Chaz Chambliss the stop.
Just have to be mindful here if you're Vandagriff. You cannot take a lost yardage play. Absolutely cannot, under any circumstances, to knock yourself out of field goal range. So here on 3rd and 1, assuming run, but after that, might get your 1st timeout potentially. You got to be thinking no lost yardage plays from this point forward.
Why did they stop the clock? The play clock is still running. The game clock has stopped.
There's some type of issue with Christian Miller, number 52 for Georgia.
They're allowing the defense to substitute, and the officials are going to confer. The game clock stopped. And now they've put the play clock back at 25.
The defensive injury qualifies for a 10-second runoff. Kentucky has declined the 10-second runoff. The game clock will start on the snap. 3rd down.
Sumo Karnbe, they fake it to him. Vandagriff lowers his head and has the 1st down and is fired up about it. 4-yard pickup. They go quickly, 30 seconds in the half. Vandagriff pressure from behind and from the front and throws it away. The pressure came from Ingram Dawkins, who's still face down on the turf, and from Chaz Chambliss.
You hate to see that from Ingram Dawkins, is off to such a tremendous start this season. And Chaz Chambliss chasing as well, Brock Vandagriff's former roommate when he was at Georgia.
Well, they tend to Ingram Dawkins. Let's check in with Kevin Nagandi.
I'd love to be compared to Carson Beck as a player. Big difference between his game and mine for sure.
#1 ranked quarterback by many with an eye toward the next NFL draft. They're still tending to Ingram Dawkins. How do you play it here if you're Kentucky? You are in field goal range. You have 2 timeouts, but you've had a costly turnover. You've had a couple of near disasters.
I would go max protection. So I would have 7 guys in protection, tight end and running back, because I'm anticipating that Georgia is going to blitz me. They're sitting there thinking, all right, we got to try to knock them out of field goal range. So they're going to blitz me just like they did on 1st and 10. I'm anticipating pressure. So I go max protection. I try to find a one-on-one. My preferred one-on-one target would be Barryon Brown. So if I like the matchup with Barryon Brown against a Georgia secondary defender, I'll take that shot. But cannot, under any circumstances right now, take a sack. That's the #1 key.
So Ingram Dawkins out. He's provided regular pressure on Vandegrift as 2 tackles, both for a loss.
Here's Barryon Brown down here at the bottom of the screen.
And they're tilting the coverage toward him, it seems. Sumo Karngbae, couple of nice spin moves. And he's within a yard of the first down. Will they hurry up? Or will they use a timeout?
Surprised they're not taking timeout. Good decision.
Timeout. Kentucky. They're second in the half. 20 seconds in lead.
Well, maybe because last week was so rough on offense for Kentucky. They had only 183 yards of offense. They just couldn't pass block at all. You know, this seems like a terrific offensive performance. But you look at it, they only have the 3 points and they have 122 yards of offense. It really hasn't been a terrific performance, but they're doing the kinds of things they have to do to stay in the game and maybe pull off a big upset.
They are. They're holding up along the lines of scrimmage. I mean, that's big. They've had some mistakes. It has been far from flawless by any stretch. But you have to be impressed with the challenge that was issued to the offensive line and how they've responded. They've been able to, at times, get the run game going a little bit. This drive has really been about Demi Sumo Karngbae and what he can do in the run game. But the receivers have also made some plays. Haven't been many chances downfield, but they've had some decent opportunities in catch and run. So I think it's been a great plan for Bush Hamdan, the OC, to keep this defensive staff of Georgia off balance just a hair. And they're executing at a pretty high level.
65 yards for Georgia. Their fewest in a first half in 9 seasons under Kirby Smart is 105 at Auburn in 2017. They're probably not going to get the ball back to add to those 65 yards they have tonight. Sumo Karngbae, the running back, on 3rd down and 1. Whoa, he got blasted up high by Dan Jackson at the end of the run, but he is a tough runner. And they've had a hard time tackling him. It's looked several times like he would get stopped well shy of where he eventually went down. 9 seconds to go. Kentucky uses another timeout. Mark Stoops wondering about a possible targeting on that hit delivered by Dan Jackson.
It was a big collision. A nice run. You see the patience there by Sumo Karngbae. Didn't look like, to me, Dan Jackson initiated contact with the crowd. Oh, maybe just a little bit there up against the face mask. Thought it was more shoulder pad from the other angle, but let's take a look here.
The head. Side of his helmet.
Yeah, it looks like the side of the helmet. Dan Jackson that makes the contact. And that halo at the top of the helmet, that's what would require the contact to be made for it to be targeting.
So now what do? You're on the 14. You don't have a timeout, so I think you'd repeat. And Mark Stoops is pointing at the screen saying that is targeting in his opinion. The crowd thinks so too as they look at it. But whatever you do, you can't get tackled in bounds or the half's going to run out.
Absolutely not. I would move the pocket. I would go and I would start with Brock Vandegrift. I'd have my tight end to the right-hand side. I'd have 2 receivers to the right-hand side. I'd try to run a corner. And if the corner's not there in the end zone, throw it away. And you live to play for the field goal. So I would move the pocket here, basically eliminating the possibility of a sack. And it's corner of the end zone or nobody. So touchdown or incompletion here for Brock Vandagriff if I'm Bush Hamdan, the offensive coordinator.
Another time-consuming drive, which was the plan. Establish the run, throw play-action passes off the run, move Vandagriff around. Going to have almost a 2-to-1 advantage in time of possession at the half. That's Eric Wolford, who undoubtedly challenged the offensive line after that horrible, surprisingly bad performance last week. Left to go to Alabama and has come back this year to coach the Big Blue Wall. Movement before the snap.
Timeout, Georgia.
There was a
Their first of the half.
timeout before the movement.
Right there from Georgia's staff. That's called taking a picture. You see what they're going to line up in, and you take a picture, and now you can go talk about the possible formations that you might use. So you're essentially forcing Kentucky to get to their second best play because they're not going to be able to come out and line up the way they just lined up before the timeout was taken.
Well, Brock Vandagriff told us all that practice against Georgia over 3 years doesn't really help that much in terms of when you get to line of scrimmage, because Georgia does such a great job of not always doing, not usually doing what you think they're going to do. They don't give you many tendencies, and they are able to check out of things to confuse the quarterback. Do you like the decision here to not even try for the touchdown?
I know that terrible things have happened. The defense has played amazing, but I think when you're playing against a team like Georgia, you have to keep the pedal pressed. You have 9 seconds. That means you have a play. At the very least, it might be a low percentage play, but even if it's 0.1%, I like the chances of trying to throw it in the corner of the end zone for a touchdown.
So a 32-yard try by Alex Rayner. Mark Stoops wants to make sure he has the lead at the half, and Kentucky likely will, as that's good from 32. Georgia's still not given up a touchdown this season. They've now given up 4 field goals, almost at halftime of their 3rd game of the year. Time now for our player check-in presented by Allstate.
Zion Childress, the safety, picking up right where he left off the last couple weeks. He's been playing out of his mind for the Kentucky defense, chasing down Etienne from the backside, and then Etienne runs to him. Probably wouldn't do that anymore if I were Georgia. He makes the play in the backfield and then works right inside Jurasik, the tight end. Speed against power. Power with the tight end, speed with Childress, the safety. Speed won that time, and he makes the play right at the line to gain. So just an incredible start defensively from Kentucky, and Childress, man, he's been flying around like a crazy person in the back end.
"65 yards of offense for the #1 team in the country." Zion Childress, big part of this defense. Did you kick it deep? LaRosse has a strong leg, the kickoff man. Or would you squib it?
I'd squib it, but I don't know anything about kicking, so if you disagree, fine, I'll take your side too.
And they bomb it out of the back of the end zone. Anthony Evans will let it go. Here's a look at tonight's college football rankings, brought to you by Goodyear. The AP Top 10 entering today. Texas on its way to a big victory, and your alma mater very impressive today at Wisconsin. 6 of the top 7 teams are SEC teams. That's the first time in the history of the AP poll, back to 1936. One conference has had 6 of the top 7. Matter of fact, it had never been 5 of the top 7. Beck takes the knee. And Mark Stoops with a major job to do this week to bring his team off the mat after they were shocked by the lopsided loss to South Carolina here last week. That is in the distant past. 6-3 at halftime. Sean McDonough and Greg McElroy, this is a big surprise to most, and the most surprising number of all when we take a look at the first half stats. 65 yards of offense for Georgia. They were only 3 plays in Kentucky territory, and that was set up by the takeaway. They didn't drive into Kentucky territory once. What's going on here?
It's really amazing to watch this Kentucky defensive line. It's the strength of their team. They have veteran players along the front that can take over the game, and they've really answered the challenge this week, going against a super talented Georgia offensive line. Deon Walker has been living in the backfield. Trevor Etienne, the star running back for Georgia, he got hit behind the line of scrimmage on more than half of his carries in the first half. So they're just winning at the line of scrimmage, and as a result, they're winning the game.
Peyton Woodring kicks off. Kentucky will get the ball first to start the second half. Here's Barrion Brown. And the kickoff well covered by Georgia. Here's Molly.
Well, Sean, Kentucky head coach Mark Stoops stressed the importance of riding this confidence and striking first in this second half. And he said earlier in the week he showed his team clips from the Georgia game against Clemson week 1 when Georgia came out of halftime, got hot, and took over the game. He reminded them of that at halftime, and he said we need to play with discipline and toughness. And he pointed out no one is playing tougher than their quarterback, Brock Vandagriff. He said we are finally giving him a chance, and he's delivering for us, guys.
Now, Coach Stoops said Vandagriff really had no chance to perform last week. Constantly under pressure by South Carolina. Demi Sumo-Karngbe bounces outside. He already has more carries and yards rushing for the year than he had all of last season when he backed up the 1,100-yard rusher Ray Davis, now in the NFL with Buffalo.
And really being thrust into the featured back role is not something that anyone anticipated. Everyone thought it was going to be Chip Trayanum, the transfer from Ohio State. He was going to be the bell cow, but he has really done a great job, especially tonight, being patient in the run game, not deciding which hole to hit too quickly, and bouncing it to the outside when the opportunity presents itself.
Trying to play mistake-free football. Vandagriff lost one fumble in the first half, and it led to the Georgia field goal. He runs out of bounds with a first down on a 6-yard run. There's Chip Trayanum, the transfer from Ohio State. Broken hand in the preseason. And they hope he might be back in a couple of weeks for Ole Miss. Last season, Ohio State's second leading rusher, 2 years at ASU. 2 years at OSU. And now here to take advantage of the big opportunity with the departure of Ray Davis. Anthony Brown-Stevens, the motion man. Chaz Chambliss trying to run down Sumo-Karngbe, and he did after a 2-yard gain.
You also have to give a lot of credit to Bush Hamdan. I mean, last week, the offense, I thought he really got off script way too early. They had the run game going. It's almost like they tried to get their quarterback going with some downfield throws that resulted in sacks, and as a result, really killed the rhythm of the offense. But tonight, he's been very patient, has given the defense a lot of different looks, and has moved his quarterback outside the pocket multiple times.
Hamdan was critical of himself about last week. We met with him yesterday. Vandagriff on target. First down. Jamari Macklin out to the 45-yard line.
Just a great job, too, by number 81, Willie Rodriguez, the freshman tight end, who sealed the edge, and then they moved the pocket, which is so hard for the defense when you're changing up the launch point for the quarterback. They never know where to rush to, so when you move them like that, it gives you a real nice target and an easy completion.
First downs are 14-3. Jamarion Wilcox. And he's down to the 41-yard line. That's 15 more for Kentucky.
And they almost, I mean, you look at Jalen Walker, he almost goes down and gets this one on the zone read. But Wilcox too quick. He just goes right past him. Walker never locates, and he's out the gate for another nice gain on the ground.
Wilcox stays in the game. Redshirt freshman from Georgia, from Douglasville. His first career action in the opener against Southern Miss. Here he comes again. He's down to the 35. More of the same for Kentucky.
They are just continuing to to lean on that offensive line, a group that struggled so mightily. Without their left guard tonight, Jagger Burton, in steps the backup Dylan Ray. And the left side of that offensive line is playing so well and creating some space in that Georgia front.
That line anchored by the center, Eli Cox. Another tough run. Demarion Wilcox, first down to the 30-yard line. 4 carries for 29 yards for Wilcox, who had just 2 carries for his career prior to tonight.
Now this is a spot. You get 1st and 10, 30-yard line. I'm thinking if I'm Bush Hamdan, I'm going to take a shot. Play action. We've been running the ball really well. I'm going to go hard play action with full protection and see if I can't hit one of my speedy wide receivers in the end zone.
8th play of the drive. The first 7 have featured 6 runs. Sumo Carnby. That offensive line was surprised for Kentucky and how much it got dominated last week. Mark Stoops had a conversation with Eli Cox, the center leader of that group. 2nd team all conference last year. Without Jagger Burton, as usual, to his left. This offensive line much better for Coach Wolford.
Just a great answer, too. And the guys that struggled last week, Marcus Cox and Eli Cox, they've played extremely well at left tackle and center, respectively.
Here comes a Georgia blitz. Vandegrift, time, and the receiver was not on the same page. He threw it behind Dane Key, who was running to the post.
Vandegrift trying to anticipate with pressure in his face, trying to get that ball out quickly, but because of the rotation by the defense to the right-hand side, he had one-on-one on the backside for Barryon Brown, and they got to continue to look in his direction because he's had some one-on-ones today.
We're 3rd down and 8 on that final drive of the first half that resulted in the go-ahead field goal. Kentucky went 4 for 4 on 3rd down. For the game last week, they were 3 out of 15 against the Gamecocks. Sumo Carnby breaking tackles, and then he gets belted. Dan Jackson came up to hit him. Jalen Walker had him down low. 4th down and 2, no hesitation. Mark Stoops wants more points.
So many teams, Mark Stoops asked him yesterday, they are always thinking, you got to be aggressive against Georgia. You got to be aggressive. Going forward on 4th down, being aggressive in plus territory. His defense has played so well tonight, and he trusts them so much that he's willing to take the 3 here as opposed to potentially rolling the dice on 4th and short.
Rayner already 2 for 2 with the school record 55-yarder. This is from 40. Mark Stoops criticized himself for the decision to go for a 4th down in his own territory last week. They didn't get a 4th and 1 on their own 31. 3 for 3 is Rayner. It's back to a 6-point Kentucky lead. A lot of streaks on the line tonight for Kirby Smart in Georgia. They've won 41 straight regular season games, second longest of all time behind just those Oklahoma teams of the 50s. They've won 27 in a row in the regular season in conference play. Tied for the longest with Alabama in the 70s. They've won 15 straight on the road, the longest such streak in school history, and they've won 14 in a row against Kentucky, which is their longest streak ever against an SEC opponent. Since the start of 2021, 48-2. As many national championships as losses. Only lost last season Alabama in the SEC title game. The kickoff by Aiden LaRosse is a touchback. Here's Molly McGrath.
Well, Sean, Georgia head coach Kirby Smart was feeling the pressure he was getting in players' faces before this drive. He was emotional. He was singling guys out, grabbing them and yelling at them. And this team kind of needed a fire lit under them. At times today, they looked shocked at how things are going. So Coach Smart is setting them straight.
Well, hard for that offense to get much of a rhythm. Kirby mentioned that to Molly on the way off at halftime. That's another near 6-minute drive for Kentucky. They've had it for 25.5 minutes to 10.5 roughly for Georgia and Carson Beck. 5 for 11 for 32 yards after he threw for 389 against the Cats last year in Athens. Forced to pull it down by Deion Walker. Man breaking open, but he missed him. 10 for Dylan Bell with Maxwell Hairston in coverage and trailing in coverage. But the throw off target.
Man, these are the throws that you just don't see missed by Carson Beck. And talking to Mark Stoops, talking to Brad White, they admit, they say, they got to be just a little bit off for us to win this game. And these are the throws that Carson Beck makes in his sleep. He's got Dylan Bell wide open, downfield, scramble drill, set up. Did have to avoid the rush, but man, the missed throw would have been a touchdown if he hit it.
Nate Frazier is in at running back now, the freshman from Los Angeles. Beck got belted as he threw, but he got it to Dominic Lovett, who swung down at the 42-yard line. Trayvon Ripka delivered the hit on Beck, but he still got it off for a gain of 34.
And a miscommunication between the freshman running back and the left tackle, Ernest Green, which results in a big hit on Carson Beck. Freshman running back mistake right there.
First time the offense has advanced the ball into Kentucky territory. Frazier. Dumped by David Rayner. That looked like it could have been a bigger problem for Georgia with the defenders from Kentucky arriving just as the ball did. Loss of 5. Georgia trying to come back without the terrific guard Tate Ratledge with his leg in a boot. One of the 4 returning O-line starters from a year ago. Trevor Etienne back in at running back. Frazier's played sparingly. Movement. And it looked like a false start.
Full start. Offense, number 53. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
Dylan Fairchild, the guard.
He was in his stance for a long time, trying to get some type of communication. He looks inside at the center, and then looks up, and it just doesn't time it up right. So, as a result, he steps back, and Georgia in second and long. Second and long, you just got to try to get half of it back if you're Carson Beck. Set up a third and slightly more manageable. 3rd and 10, 3rd and 8. Don't have to get it all back right here.
Etienne, the running back. Beck down the middle and caught by Dylan Bell with tight coverage from Ty Bryant. Brad White, the defense coordinator, talked about the elite ball placement of Carson Beck, and that one had to be perfect, and it was. Good for a 20-yard gain. They go quickly to the line. Here's Oscar Delp, the tight end. Good open field tackle along the far sideline by J.J. Weaver.
Like a little bit of tempo here from Mike Bobo, the offensive coordinator, just trying to jumpstart the engine a little bit. The offense hasn't had a whole lot of rhythm. They haven't had a whole lot going in the passing game, so by far the best throw a moment ago by Carson Beck all night on the tight throw there to Dillon Bell. So now jumpstart the engine now by ramping up the tempo just a hair with Kentucky on their heels.
Etienne, the running back. Beck handed it to him, and he could not break free. Did lunge forward to the 26-yard line. De'Eric Jackson made the tackle. And a big third down. Third down and 4. 1 out of 6 tonight on third down. And they have Cash Jones in at running back.
Kentucky's really mixed the looks here on third and medium. They've done a 3-man rush, and they've also brought pressure, but right here looking like a 3-man rush again. Drop 8 against Carson Beck.
Love it when in motion. Beck throws to single coverage, and a back shoulder throw to Colby Young for a first down for the Dogs at the 13.
Just perfect ball placement here. They decide to rush for you. You have man-to-man coverage. Your biggest wide receiver on the outside is Colby Young, 215 pounds, working against Hairston. Perfect back shoulder, perfectly timed turn by the wide receiver, and an easy conversion on third down.
Best drive of the night by far for Georgia. This will be the 8th play. 6 of the first 7 passing. Nate Frazier, the running back, up the middle. And down at the 8. Trayvon Ribka to stop, a gain of 5 for Frazier, who burst onto the scene in his first college game with 83 yards rushing against Clemson. In the opener in Atlanta, they played without Trevor Etienne, Travis's brother, who was suspended for that game. Under 5 minutes to go in a fast-moving third quarter. Frazier again trying to bounce outside, and he's dropped. Back at the 13-yard line by Ty Bryant.
And Bryant with a great job. Look at the eyes. Into the backfield, sees it the whole way, sees the handoff, and then boom. He takes off and drops the freshman behind the line of scrimmage. These safeties have been great in run support all night long between what we've seen from Bryant and Childress.
They marked it at the 12, a loss of 4. Third down and 9. Most of these fans on their feet. Beck steps left, dumps it off, and it's incomplete. Trying to get it to Trevor Etienne. Beck vacated the pocket quickly with some pressure coming his way. What a performance by Brad White's defense. They force a field goal.
And just a great job here. Look at the disguise. It's looking like it's going to be too high safety, which talks Beck out of throwing to his left and taking advantage of the one-on-one. Well, then the safety from the backside ends up playing to the front side, and you had the backside one-on-one. So just great disguise there by Kentucky's defense.
Peyton Woodring. This is virtually a gimme for him. That could not have been more right down the middle. 30-yard field goal. It's 9-6.
Saturday Night Football, presented by Capital One, is brought to you by the new Fun 99 menu at Sonic. Live free. Eat Sonic.
About 60 miles away in Bardstown, Kentucky, known as the bourbon capital of the world, the 33rd annual Kentucky Bourbon Festival. I know you would have liked to have been there yesterday. You were here working. About 15,000 visitors made their way to Bardstown for that annual event. So the best drive by far for Georgia tonight. Matter of fact, Beck in the first half went 5 for 11 for 32 yards. On that drive, he was 5 out of 7 for 65 yards. Very dangerous. Barrion Brown back for the kickoff from Peyton Woodring. And this one's deeper and no chance to return it for Brown. Time now for our Modelo playbook. Follow up the bourbon with a beer.
It's excellent job here by Brock Vandagriff moving in the pocket. He feels that rush at the outside. His running back saves a life, and he takes off and makes that aggressiveness with the rush pace. And now you can't rush as much. You can't blitz as much. They have to kind of stay back because they're threatened by the quarterback's legs. As a result, you have time. You throw the circus route for a nice gain, and then you move the pocket. So you're getting a lot of different looks from Bush Hamden with where he has his quarterback setting up. That's taking pressure off his offensive line, and it's allowing Vandagriff's athleticism to put strain on these pass rushers for Georgia.
Vandagriff managed to avoid Ty Ingram Dawkins, and then he was taken down by Raylan Wilson, a 1-yard gain. Three and a half to go. Third quarter. Mark Stoops and this Kentucky program could use a big win. A lot of high points during his 12 years, but recently the results have been mediocre. And last week was a disaster. This would be enormous if they could pull it off, but a long way to go. Jamarian Wilcox out near the 30-yard line. The third down and a long 4.
Kentucky's been excellent so far on third down tonight. 7 for 11. And they've mixed run pass too. They haven't been in a ton of third and longs that allow these pass rushers to take off. But here in the 3rd and 5, you're looking in the direction of Dane Key, number 6. He's kind of been their guy on third down. Very reliable, big, physical, and sure-handed. And he's working against Everett here at the bottom of the screen.
Vandagriff, no pressure. Zings one, and it's broken up. Even with all that time, he couldn't find anybody open. Nice play by Julian Humphrey to bat it out of midair. Trying to get it to Fred Ferrier.
And just a little bit late here. He looks, he likes it to the right. He thinks he's going to work there. Has to scan it all the way back to the middle. He has Ferrier initially, but just takes too long. It allows the defender to recover, and he breaks in front of it and makes a terrific play.
Third punt for Wilson Berry. Anthony Evans back for it. Tumbling punt, fair catch signaled and made by Evans at the 33. 37-yard punt. You're watching the Dr. Pepper Championship Drive Game of the Week. last win against the #1 ranked team in the nation for Rich Brooks back in October of 2007. It was #1 LSU. Andre Woodson's third touchdown pass put them up by 6. First possession of the third overtime. The Cats de-stuffed a 4th down and 2. The most recent win, they're 3-17 all time against AP #1. They beat a great Oklahoma team in the Sugar Bowl in 1951, and they won at Ole Miss in 1964. It's the 4th straight year when Kentucky has played Georgia that the Bulldogs are #1 in the country. They've lost their last 9 games against the top-ranked team. Carson Beck pulls it down and runs out of bounds to the 35 with a 3-yard gain.
Wisely done there by Carson Beck. Sensing that momentum had shifted in favor of Georgia. Kentucky fresh off a 3-and-out. Like Bobo calls a shot downfield, tries to go for the jugular. Carson Beck is well covered. He sees it, hit what you can, as opposed to trying to force it into good coverage. So that's a good veteran play there by the quarterback.
Has not been in this situation very often. 15-1 as the Georgia starting quarterback. He took the helm the start of last year. Out wide it goes. Out of bounds short of the first down is Dominic Lovett with a 5-yard gain. It'll be 3rd down and 2 at the 40 with a minute and a half and the clock running to go in the 3rd down in the 3rd quarter. Two for 8, the Dogs on 3rd down tonight. Arian Smith, the motion man. They power it straight ahead. Trevor Etienne. 1st down into Kentucky territory to the 48. He picked up 12.
And there's really nobody home right here. I mean, look at the left side outside the left tackle. There's nobody there for Kentucky. I don't know if they were misaligned or what, but they ran right into it. And it was nothing but green grass for Etienne.
Monroe Freeling in at tackle, a sophomore. Number 57 was leading the way there. Etienne run after the catch. Another 1st down. Taken down by Trayvon Ribka at the Kentucky 37. Final seconds of the 3rd quarter. Etienne. They're starting to pick up yards in chunks. That's 9 more on the last play of the 3rd quarter. Georgia's won 41 straight in the regular season. Will they extend that streak tonight? Our presentation of college football will return after this message and word from our ABC stations. And Robinson has touched the ball tonight, but he took it into the end zone. 10-play, 67-yard drive. The Dogs up by 4.
Taking a look at the touchdown on the AT&T connected cam. Trevon Ripka wins, but it doesn't matter because watch Branson Robinson. He just zooms out with a little lateral step. I mean, he's tackled right there, but how about the little lateral shuffle and dart right to the end zone? Just a tremendous move. And there was a Kentucky defensive lineman right there in the backfield to make the stop.
That was Micah Morris, the right guard. He was in for Tate Ratledge, who didn't block anybody, but they still got it into the end zone. The kickoff is a touchback by Peyton Woodring, and here's Kevin Nagandi. All Seans are tough, Greg.
I've heard that. I like him against you, though, personally.
Brock Vandegrift. And under duress, he got it off. Demi Sumo Karngbe. C.J. Allen made the tackle. Vandegrift took the hit, got it off, first down. Their longest play of the night is 18 yards. That one good for 11. Just their 10th play of double figures in yardage. They're up to 208 total yards. They're still outgaining Georgia 208 to 199. Sumo Karngbe. Jazz Chan was moved inside, got back into the play and made the tackle with help from Dalen Everett. 17th carry for Sumo Karngbe, ties his career high established last week against the Gamecocks.
I cannot emphasize enough the importance of this drive. You start to leak oil. Georgia now is answered with 10 consecutive points, finally has some rhythm offensively, finally finds the end zone on the last possession. So you got to allow your defense a little time to settle down by putting together a nice drive here on offense.
Vandegrift throws too high. Chambliss running in coverage with the tight end Kamari Anderson, who was trying to sell that he was being held. He convinced the crowd, but not the officials.
Yeah, and there was definitely some contact there, trying to go with a hard play action, but the ball was thrown really high. I love the matchup identification. You get a tight end working against a defensive end, but I think that ball was uncatchable. I mean, it was way up there. And as you see, I mean, it's probably 10, 12 feet off the ground as it sails over the head by 5 or 6 yards.
They were wrapping Vandegrift's left ankle before he came out of the field. He has an open receiver in the slot. Some beautiful moves by Barrion Brown. And finally taken down by Dan Jackson. 13 yards and a Kentucky first down to the Georgia 45.
That was a great job there, utilizing a little bit of tempo from Kentucky, breaking the huddle, getting to a play where you have a running back that's going to fly into the flats and try to create a little bit of a pick or a rub, and it led to a nice first down.
Sumo Karngbe, the running back. They bring a blitz from the offense's right. That's 5 more for Sumo Karngbe, and now a career high 82 yards rushing. He ran for 79 in the game while he was at NC State. Replaced by Jamarian Wilcox. Both teams are substituting. And one thing that this game makes you think about, Greg, is how good that South Carolina defensive front is.
No doubt about it.
As they whipped Kentucky up front last week. This O-line has held its own against Georgia tonight. Wilcox stacked up, looked to be about a foot short of the first down. You'd have to think this is 4-down territory.
No question. Plus territory, short yardage. Absolutely think it 4-down territory.
Mark Stoops said going for that 4th down in his own territory last week was largely a product of analytics. You got the sense he's going to go with his gut going forward. We talked with him yesterday. Ferrier with the motion. Sumo Karnbay breaks free from a would-be tackler behind the line of scrimmage. Xavier McLeod couldn't get him down. He's been injured and is in action tonight. A 4-yard gain and another Kentucky first down.
And Nazir Stackhouse actually wins across the face of the center Cox, but Sumo Karnbay, man, he is so good. He's so shifty, and he, much like we just saw for Robinson a second ago, a defensive lineman wins, but a great move to the outside gives him some space.
Under 9 minutes to go. Georgia blitzes, and this time C.J. Allen stops Sumo Karnbay for no gain. Actually, it was Jamarian Wilcox 10, not 0 Sumo Karnbay.
You got to remind now your quarterback, Brock Vandagriff, right on fringe field goal range. You cannot take a negative yardage play, and that helmet communication that the OCs now have to the quarterback, a direct line, just a reminder, cannot take a sack in this situation.
9th play of this Kentucky drive. The throwback is deflected and falls incomplete. Jalen Walker got a hand on it. Third down and 10. They've been terrific on 3rd down tonight. They haven't faced 3rd and 10 very often, at least. 9 out of 14 tonight on 3rd down. Brock Vandagriff's 12 out of 21 passing for just 97 yards. 2 for 2 on 3rd down on this drive. The Wildcats. Play clock down to 2 as Vandagriff got the snap. Quick pop through the hands of his receiver. Looked like a catchable ball for Jamori Macklin. It went through his hands and fell incomplete.
And that's a tough one there for Jamori Macklin. I mean, got a little bit of alligator arms. The ball's a little bit too far inside. He senses that defender coming inside out. The defender, C.J. Allen. And Vandagriff extremely frustrated, but really for the receiver, you got to body him up. You got to throw it right on his body there so you're not throwing him into contact and the potential collision.
Macklin definitely aware of the traffic around him. Now a 51-yard try to get them within a point. Alex Rayner. Good. He's made 2 from 50-plus tonight, including the school record 55-yarder to get the scoring started. It's a 1-point game with 8 minutes to go in Lexington.
Saturday Night Football is presented by Capital One. What's in your wallet? And in part by Fubo. Watch college football and more at FuboTV.com.
13-12, Georgia with 8 minutes to go. Kirby Smart told us last night it's always tough when we come to Kentucky, and the numbers bear that out. 4 years ago, 14 points in the win over the Cats, the fewest under Kirby Smart in a road win. 2 years ago, they won 16-6 here. Kirby said it was the coldest he's ever been at a football game. It was 37 degrees at kickoff, with 20-mile-an-hour winds out of the north, making it feel much colder than that. The perfect night tonight, temperature around 80 degrees at kickoff. Light breeze. It's a 1-point game. Aiden LaRosse, this is returnable for Anthony Evans from the 1. Flag down. Evans, another flag down. He's down at the 36. Marion Wilcox made the tackle. Kyle Olson is the referee. Been a very cleanly played second half. There's been only one assessed penalty in this second half. It was against Georgia. It's a holding call against Georgia.
During a kick, holding, receiving team. That 10-yard penalty been enforced in the previous spot. We will re-kick.
Well, they would have had the ball at the 36. Now with the kickoff, they should be able to make it a touchback and gain field position.
You see number 20, it appears, Ja'Cory Thomas, who grabs the jersey of number 81, Willie Rodriguez. That's what the official saw. So wisely choosing to re-kick here as opposed to giving Georgia field position at the 26-yard line.
He's going to kick off from the 45. LaRosse with plenty of leg to make it a touchback. He's from Cape Town, South Africa. Aiden LaRosse. His dad was a great rugby star. Aiden came to this country as a freshman in high school to Chapel Hill, North Carolina. He was a punter last year at UT Martin, where he led the nation in FCS and punting average, better than 47 yards a punt. You ever been to Cape Town?
I haven't.
What a beautiful
nice
city. Unbelievable.
I've heard good things.
Gorgeous. It will be a touchback. So the penalty hurts Georgia. Here's Kevin. Arch runs a little better than Nathan Eli. Trevor Etienne, the running back. Carson Beck, much better in the second half. Sidestep the rush. Takes off running and gets 8. Brad White, the Kentucky coordinator, said that's a very underrated part of Beck's game. He's a very good runner and very savvy as to when to take it down.
Yeah, he's excellent. Just a couple times a game. It's not a lot, but maybe 2-3 times a game where he decides to take off and either extends drives on third down where they get overly aggressive with the pass rush, or takes what could be an incompletion and turns it into a second and very manageable.
Ernest Green is back in at left tackle, the usual starter. The ball dropped by Etienne on the exchange. He got on it, but it's a loss. Back to the 28-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and 7.
And it looked like Carson Beck just never had control of it. It looked like the snap was in a pretty good spot, but took his eyes off of it. You see his eyes working to their left before he secures the catch. So huge mistake there by the 5th-year senior.
It never got to Etienne, just a clanger off the hands of Beck. Crowd fully engaged, on their feet. Beck in trouble. He escapes. Beck throws. Incomplete behind Oscar Delp. Just a desperation throw to get rid of it.
And a great call here by Brad White. You have a bunch of guys moving up. You have some zigzags. You have some games. And you have 6 guys rushing and overload the protection on the right-hand side. Just an excellent job of forcing Carson Beck out of the pocket and maintaining great coverage downfield, so there was no option for him to work on scramble drill.
Brett Thorson will punt for the 5th time. Maury Macklin back deep. The 5 punts matching his most ever in a game. 3rd time he's done it. He got a great bounce off a low kick. It certainly was not pretty, but effective. 57-yard punt. Kentucky will start at the 16-yard line, down by a point. You're watching the SEC on ABC. Next Saturday night, presented by Capital One, number 7 Tennessee and number 15 Oklahoma. They'll both be undefeated going into that one. Game day will be there as well. The game starts at 7:30. Tennessee is leading Kent State 71-0. ESPN is projecting the Vols as the winner of that game. Still 7 minutes to go there. What an offensive juggernaut the Vols are. Another tough run by Demi Sumo Karngbe, got 4. Molly?
Well, on Kentucky's last possession, you saw that third down ball go through Jamori Macklin's hands, and on the sideline, Brock Vandagriff went up to Macklin, took accountability, pointed to himself, and said, "That's on me." After last week's loss, Kentucky coaches challenged Vandagriff to be more vocal on the sidelines. He's usually pretty quiet, but he's been more active on the sideline, telling receivers exactly what he needs from them. He's definitely a different leader today, guys.
It wasn't a great throw, a bit of a wobbler, not in a great position. It looked like he was hollering at Macklin at the time. Under duress, he throws deep down the field. Bodies collide. Intended for Dane Key. C.J. Allen had the pressure on.
It looked like the throw as Vandagriff got hit as he was trying to release this football. It looked like as Dane Key was trying to work through it, there's definitely contact, and I'm okay with the no call there. I'm not sure he could have made up enough ground on kind of the throw that fluttered in the air.
Taking the deep shot gives them a difficult third down and 6. 9 for 15 on third down. Vandagriff rolling right. Jalen Walker coming after him. There's a flag down. The pass is incomplete. Flag down in the secondary. Demi Sumo Karngbe, the intended receiver. The back judge threw the flag. Chris Bukowski.
Prior to the pass, holding, defense, number 24. Turn down the corner, automatic, first down.
Malachi Starks, who was involved in that mini collision on the previous play, flagged this time.
And you're going to see the receiver working against Malachi Starks. He's in man-to-man. He tries to cross-face right there, but Malachi Starks, his hand kind of grabs up around the shoulder pad and doesn't allow the receiver, Dane Key, to get out on his route. One of the best in the country in coverage as a safety, but that time, pretty good route, and he has to hold on for dear life, and the official calls it.
Brock Vandagriff, well aware of what a great player Starks is. So I'm going to have to use my eyes to try to move the safety out of position. Georgia blitzes. Walker again in hot pursuit. Vandagriff runs away from him and gets knocked out of bounds near the first down marker by C.J. Allen. Well, the Georgia defenders know he has that speed. They practiced against him for 3 years.
Just a great job here. Protection. Jalen Walker fighting through 2 Wildcat blockers, and he forces him out of the pocket. The progressive pylon cam shows you the big collision there between C.J. Allen and his former teammate Brock Vandagriff.
They did just barely get the first down. They're at the 40. Sumo Karngbe bouncing off Georgia. Would-be tacklers. It has not been a great tackling night for the usually reliable Georgia defense in that area. 8-yard gain. Bear in mind, Alex Raynor's already kicked 4 field goals, 2 of them from 50 yards. They don't have to go much further to get into his range. And the clock is a factor now. 4.5 minutes to go. 3 timeouts for each side. On 2nd and 2, the pistol. And Sumo Karngbe has the first down at midfield. Marion Wilcox, rather, his stand-in. That's 101 yards rushing and very hard earned for Sumo Karngbe. And you get the feeling here, Greg, Kentucky won't be in a hurry. They'd like to milk it down as far as they can, get to field goal range, and try to get Raynor out there for another try. Jamarian Wilcox gets 3.
It's rare, too, to see Georgia getting pushed back at this point of the ball game. They have so much depth. defensively along their defensive line. They can go 6 deep at defensive tackle, no problem. Glenn Schumann, though, is without some key playmakers up front defensively. Warren Brinson's out. Jordan Hall is out. Michael Williams is out. So you got to wonder if that depth is being tested more tonight than it would be normally at 100%.
Play fake on the jet sweep action. The pass batted down. Ismail Munden, Nazir Stackhouse, right in the face of their former teammate.
Really well defended there by Georgia. Kentucky tried to go with a little play action sneak. The tight end up the seam. But instead, Stackhouse and Munden are there and tip the pass before Vandegrift can get it to his outlet in the flat.
So 3rd and 8. They'd like to make it at least a manageable 4th down. Don't think they would go for 4th and 8 with all their timeouts and the 2-minute timeout. Vandegrift dumped as he threw it. Jalen Walker in his face again. The ball is out. There has not been a whistle. And now there is. Gabe Harris picked it up. There was a whistle. It was not audible to many.
Jalen Walker just goes right around the left side of this offensive line. I mean, that's the speed rush that gave Kentucky so many fits last week against South Carolina. And Walker, one of the most explosive edge defenders in the pass rush situation in the SEC, delivers another big hit. That's got to be 4 or 5 hits that he's had against Brock Vandegrift.
He's been after him with regularity here in the 4th quarter especially. So with 3:03 to go in all their timeouts and with 8 yards to go, Wilson Berry is on. There is a smattering of boos from the crowd. 4th punt for Berry. Anthony Evans back deep. There's a flag down.
Flag on the play.
And the whistle stops the play.
Prior to the snap, false start, kicking team, number 44. 5-yard penalty, still 4th down. Please reset the game clock to 3:03.
So the line of scrimmage now, Kentucky's 48. Evans, fair catch just inside the 15. Time for tonight's Sonic Drive-In recap.
Really, these last couple drives for Georgia starting to figure it out along the offensive line, the running game, as they lean on Trevor Etienne, the transfer from Florida. Get it to him between the tackles. You get it to him out in the flat. You see what he does with it. The guy's excellent with the ball in his hands after the catch. This time almost tight ropes the sideline before giving way to Robinson, who pays it off in the end zone for the game's only touchdown. This offensive line really struggling throughout most of the first 3 quarters. Has settled in here in the 4th quarter against an excellent Kentucky defensive line, and the offense has a lot of rhythm as a result.
Better in the 2nd half, but it still adds up to just 202 total yards for number 1 Georgia. Nate Frazier stacked up. Mark Stoops will use his first timeout. Clock is still running, and several seconds ran off. Jordan Lovett up from the secondary.
Please reset the game clock to 2:53.
Next week, our primetime matchup on SEC Network is at 7:45, Georgia Southern and number 5 Ole Miss. Ole Miss 3-0, defeated Wake Forest today 40-6. Download the ESPN app or go to ESPNplus.com/schedule to watch all the action. Well, if you're Georgia here, how do you play it?
I just continue to lean on that run game. They've done a pretty good job running it between the tackles, but at this point, I might think to maybe get to the outside just a little bit more. I have really athletic running backs. And the defensive line of Kentucky, they know that they're going to try to run the football. They're going to be very, very stout between the tackles. You have a 350-pound defensive tackle that's an All-American in Deion Walker. So maybe try something outside the tackles and see if you can't use your athleticism to your advantage.
2nd and 9. Georgia at its own 16. Trevor Etienne, the running back. They play fake it to him. Down it goes. Dominic Lovett out of bounds with a big first down for Georgia all the way to the 49. Great call by Mike Bobo and well executed for 36.
And just a thing of beauty. Kentucky really selling out against the run. You see linebackers, you see safeties, all with eyes in the backfield. They get Lovett in the slot, slow developing play action, a little bit of misdirection in there as well. He breaks to the out, and that's how much trust Kirby Smart has in his starting quarterback to put the ball in his hands backed up, and you can run your way to victory. He lets him unleash. It's a big play.
Huge play. 1 yard gain to the 50. Mark Stoops electing not to use the timeout. He's going to let it go down to the 2-minute stoppage. Number 1 Georgia trying to win its 42nd straight in the regular season with a 1-point lead. Back at Kroger Field in Lexington, Kentucky, number 1 Georgia leading Kentucky 13-12 at the 2-minute timeout of the 4th quarter. And the Dogs looking at 2nd and 8 from midfield. Kentucky has 2 timeouts left. One more Georgia first down should just about put it away. Trevor Etienne, the running back. Carson Beck 14 for 23 for 152. The big 33-yard completion a moment ago to Dom Lovett. Play fake. Here's Oscar Delp. Shot down. The ball came out. Looked like it came out when he hit the ground, and that's the ruling. It also looked like he went down short of the first down, which will bring up 3rd down and 1.
Ooh, and that ball did look like it might have been coming out before, but lucky for Georgia, Arian Smith right there to hop on it.
They got it back anyway. Yeah, you're right. It's coming out.
No question.
That should have been a fumble. But Arian Smith recovered. And it's actually a break for Kentucky, because if it was a fumble, boy, Kirby Smart is getting after his group. This is a big review coming up, because it looked like to me on the first look, Greg, that where Arian Smith recovered the fumble, they might have the first down.
Yeah, it looks like as the ball kind of squeaks out, falls forward just a little bit, where Arian Smith can recover it.
Yeah, he's right along that 40-yard line. View from the progressive pylon cam. Let's bring in our expert, Matt Austin. Matt, what do you think?
I agree with everything you said, Sean. It does look like the ball was definitely out before the runner was down, and it did trickle beyond the line to gain, so this should be a 1st down Georgia.
Which would be an enormous break for Kirby Smart.
Would be
in a real battle with one of his real close friends. Kirby Smart and Mark Stoops have buddies. Their wives are friendly. They generally sit next to each other at the SEC coaches meetings. They've been on apparel company trips, and they had a lot of laughs when they met on the field before the game.
After video review, the football was fumbled, but it was recovered by the offense for a 1st down. 1st down, Georgia. Kentucky will retain their timeout that they called.
Couple of things to consider here. Not quite at that point just yet, but you can review just some clock management possibilities here. If you're Georgia, the last thing you want to do right here is score a touchdown. If you score a touchdown, that gives the ball back to Kentucky with the possibility of being down 8 points, which is a 1-possession game. So Georgia does not want to score a touchdown. So if they break free into the open field, that's a declared down situation. You slide down and you can hopefully kneel on it and extinguish the clock. And then on the other side, Kentucky start to think about, all right, do we let them score at this point? Because that's really the only way to get the ball back and give our offense a chance. So different philosophies would suggest
with this
when
field
you go
position,
with that.
still 2 timeouts.
Yeah, I don't think you're quite there yet, but that could be a situation that arises here momentarily for both sides of the ball.
Georgia has not turned the ball over this year. That was close a moment ago. So it is a 1st and 10. ETN stopped after a short gain. Timeout Kentucky. 1:15 to go. Pickup of 3. The life so hard in the SEC. Mark Stoops here right now. We saw earlier today South Carolina, led for most of the game against LSU. Some self-inflicted mistakes were really costly to the Gamecocks. They blew a 17-0 lead. The margin is so fine when you're trying to pull off a big upset like this.
It's so difficult to go on the road in this league. I mean, hostile environments, challenges with communication, momentum swings that are so emotional. It's so difficult to do, but when you look at it and you look at the opportunities when beating teams like LSU, when beating teams like Alabama, Georgia, Texas, you have to in some ways be flawless, and you have to hope that they're just a touch off. Georgia was just a little bit off tonight, but Kentucky's also had a couple mistakes as well that could have been capitalized upon. Had they made those plays, the situation right now at the end of the game might look very different.
Second and 7. Beck under center. They sell out on the run, do the Cats. ETN turn the corner. First down, but there is a flag. that would have been ball game over, and it will be if that play stands, because he had a first down inside the 30. Kentucky crowding the middle, and Etienne had room outside.
Illegal block in the back. Offense, number 11. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. The game clock will start on the snap.
And Arian Smith right down the line of scrimmage. Does look like he does get the defender right in the back. Finishes through it. Good job there by the official wiping out the big gain.
So it's 2nd and 15. There are some people on those headsets getting worn out by Coach Smart tonight.
He's got to be frustrated. I mean, his Delt puts it on the deck in a fumble. They have penalties. I mean, they could put this game on ice, but they've had some self-inflicted mistakes.
Can't imagine they'd throw it and risk an incompletion. It's Beck on the keeper. Dives down at the 40-yard line. Gain of 6. 1:02 to go. Final timeout used by Kentucky, and Beck grimacing as he gets up and leaning a little to his left.
Please reset the game clock to 1:04.
It's a little concerning, just looking how gingerly he's walking. I mean, just a little bit slower. Didn't see anything initially. Didn't land awkwardly, it didn't seem at least. Oh, he lands a little bit. That elbow kind of goes right into the turf. The way he was kind of leaned over to his side made you wonder if it's something lower body, upper body, but it might be just that left arm that just landed a little bit awkwardly into the turf as he went to the ground.
Would you risk a pass here that might stop the clock, or do you run it and let the clock go down under 30 seconds?
I would lean conservative here. I mean, their defense has played pretty well throughout the course of this game as far as eliminating big plays. You have a chance to pin it now with 25 seconds left in the game. So I'd run it. I would not risk it at this point.
I agree with you. And if you have to punt it, punt it. You know, the way Kentucky plays offense, they have to go a long way to get in field goal range with almost no time. Etienne, the running back. Beck communicating with everybody. The play clock down to 7. On the delay, Etienne stacked up with 1 minute to go at the 35. Now the other option would be a long field goal try. I don't know if you'd want to risk that, even though Woodring is outstanding. It would be about a 52-yard kick. They're lining up quickly. They didn't want to snap it quickly. They want to take that play clock all the way down.
Maybe try to get them to jump off sides, perhaps, but I mean, there's no way they're going to snap it here.
But Deion Walker and his mates just looking at Beck like, we're not going to fall for that.
I guess I suppose it's worth a try.
They let it go down, and they use the timeout.
Timeout. Georgia. Their first of the half. 30 seconds remaining.
So now what do you do? And if you punt, you wouldn't gain a lot, but if you go for it here, and I can't imagine they would, Greg, and you turn it over, Vandegrift's one completion away from field goal range.
Yeah, I don't like that. If it was a 4-point game, it's a little bit different scenario. I might try for the field goal or something similar to that, but I still like the idea. I might have just taken the delay of game there, give my punter a little more room, max protect punt. If you're Kentucky, you're coming after this punt. And the last thing you want, Sean, you know this better than most, better than all perhaps, outside of maybe Jim Harbaugh.
You don't want, whoa, you don't want, he has trouble with the snap.
You don't want Jalen Watts-Jackson here, all right? You don't want Jalen Watts-Jackson. So max protect, secure the punt, get it off in a one-step punt as quickly as humanly possible, as high as humanly possible, because even a touchback here doesn't kill you. But in a perfect world, you just try to launch it as high as you can and take as much time off as humanly possible.
Well, Beck and the offense are coming back out. I wonder if they're going to take one more crack at trying to get Kentucky to jump offside. Vandegrift hoping for one last shot. And pulling off but now would be just about a miracle against his former team. They're lining up as if they're going to go for it. Fourth and 4 at the 35. Georgia leading by 1 with 18 seconds to go. Kentucky out of timeouts. They're trying to draw them off. And those Kentucky defenders looking at Beck as if to say, we're not going to go for that this time either.
I wonder if this time they take the delay of game, though, as opposed to the timeout.
It was worth a try.
Delay game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Still fourth down.
Kentucky did jump offside in a critical 4th and short last week against South Carolina. So now Thorson is going to punt for the 6th time, a career high. Been a running joke within their program about how infrequently he punts. 32 times last year, 36 2 years ago. Those are the 2 lowest punt totals in Georgia history, dating back to at least 1948. But not so funny tonight when you have to punt 6 times. Maury Macklin back at his own 9. He gets the punt off. No trouble with the snap. High wobbling punt, and were they able to keep it out of the end zone? I believe it's a touchback. And if so, you know, that whistle was a little slow in coming. You wonder if they would put a second or 2 back on the clock. Thorson in agony.
Illegally touched over the end zone. By rule, ball replaced at 20.
Dominic Lovett, one of those 2 great gunners, along with Arian Smith down there, but they couldn't stop it. So you have 9 seconds and no timeouts.
You can work the middle of the field still, but it has to obviously be beyond the sticks. You're telling everybody right now, hey, any first down, immediate clock situation, which is spiking the ball, get up immediately. But the first thing you got to acknowledge here is your protection. Jalen Walker, number 11, has been a real problem throughout the course of this game. So that's what pass rushers, that's why they get paid millions upon millions of dollars. They end games. They are game wreckers, and they put the game on ice. So keep a close eye on the matchup. Whoever they end up lining Jalen Walker against, keep an eye on him, because he's a huge problem as this play will develop.
They did put 1 second back on the clock. Could be meaningful. And they take the second back off. I don't know how that happened.
Here's Walker lined up right here over the right guard. He's the guy to watch in this situation.
Vandegrift steps into the pocket. Walker's right there. He got it off for a first down to Jordan Dingle, and the clock runs out. And that 1 second could have been huge.
I think they're going to take a look at this, though. It looked like he was down with maybe 1-2 seconds left. Clock obviously stops with the first down.
Please reset the game clock to 2 seconds.
All right, so you better get lined up. The clock will wind on the ready for play. You better get lined up and prepare to spike immediately. You might even now, with you have
I think they're just going to snap it as soon as they get ready for play.
Yeah, they're good now.
So they get one last play. And another stoppage.
The previous play is under video review to check the game clock.
Oh, gee.
Steps up, Walker makes the play, and let's see exactly how much time was left. And Dingle goes to the ground.
There was 3 seconds on the clock, actually, when he hits the ground.
Still, I mean, even as an offense, you're saying, hey, we're going on the whistle. You say the snap count on 1, on 2. In this case, you're on the whistle. You snap it as soon as you hear the whistle. You got 1 play left. So does give you the benefit to get lined up and run your Hail Mary play, or what most teams call Big Ben, which is the big clock. That's what you're thinking about this time. Run your Big Ben play, and maybe you start the pitch circus, because that's what could happen here with 3 seconds left.
After video review, there were 3 seconds left on the game clock. The game clock will start on the ready.
So they better get ready. He's telling them to spike it. And they can take their time and run the one last play, barring a penalty on the defense. No time came off the clock.
Please reset the game clock to 2 seconds. It did not run on that play.
So one last play, barring a penalty on the defense. Vandegrift, they're going to try the laterals, but Malachi Starks is there on the tackle to drop Jordan Dingle, and it's game over. The Georgia Bulldogs have won 42 straight regular season games. Second longest streak of all time. They win their 28th in a row. In conference play, moving out of a tie with some Alabama teams in the 70s, and Molly has Kirby.
Coach, Kentucky and Brock Vandegrift had the ball with just seconds to spare. How much confidence and trust did you have in your defense in that situation?
A lot of confidence in our defense. Our defense played lights out tonight. They got a good team. When you play on the road in the SEC, people don't respect that. And I'm not sure our guys listen to the message all week, because this is a good football team. You don't judge SEC teams on 1 week. So that's a good football team. We did what we had to do, but we did not play real well tonight.
You told us that the first SEC road test will show us who we are. What did you learn about your team in this game?
We're resilient. 3 years ago, we go to Missouri, and we almost lose that game at night on the road. Played at Auburn last year. First game of the year on the road, almost lost that game. So you got to find ways to win these, and that's what we did. We found a way to win. But the best news is we can wake these guys up and go get better, because the number one thing we got to do is get better.
You guys had a hard time moving the ball on offense, didn't score until the fourth quarter. What kind of mental toughness did you see from Carson Beck in your offense?
Well, it wasn't about Carson Beck tonight. It was about a lot of other things. It was a little bit about Kentucky playing really physical, doing a good job. They came after us and really aggressive. We got to have answers for that. But you know what? In the end, our offense did pretty good when they had to. And they got first downs, and they ate a lot of the clock. And I was really proud of them for that.
All right, congrats on the win, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, they have a week off to solve some of the issues that Kirby referenced. And then Alabama, prime time on ABC 2 weeks from tonight. They also have trips to Texas and to Ole Miss. And they extend all those streaks, 42 straight regular season wins, 28 in a row, as we said, in conference, 16 in a row in true road games, the longest active streak in the country, 15 wins in a row against Kentucky, their longest streak ever against any SEC foe. All that having been said, the pollsters go to cast their votes this week. Does Texas jump over them?
There's probably going to be a strong overreaction to this, and Kirby Smart, no one will be happier if Texas jumps them than Kirby Smart. He doesn't care about being number one or anything like that, but he will be able to say to his team, hey guys, guess what? They're doubting you now. People think that you are not the best team in the country, and basically giving them the energy that they might need throughout the bye week to kind of galvanize that group off of somewhat of a lackluster offensive performance.
Well, last year, Carson Beck in the 6th game of the year against Kentucky, that's really when he stepped onto the national stage with a career-high 389. Molly, a lot harder for Carson Beck tonight against a spirited Kentucky defense.
Yeah, that's right, Carson. Kentucky didn't make it easy for you guys tonight. What did you learn about your team in this first road test?
Yeah, I mean, you know, the theme of the week was blow by blow, you know, so how do you keep that motor rolling? How do you keep going the entire game and just try to chop down the tree? You know, watching the film, you go look at their game last week against South Carolina, you look at their defense, I mean, a tough defense. You look at their front seven, what they do, they're going to bring pressure, they're going to challenge you. That's what they did to us today, and I mean, they played a phenomenal game. I'm really proud of our guys, really proud of our defense for holding them out of the end zone, just field goals, and then us being able to get that one touchdown drive to eventually take the lead and then try to run the clock out at the end of the game.
I know that you landed a little awkwardly there at the end of the game. I see you kind of working your shoulder. How are you feeling? What happened there?
I'll be fine.
You'll be fine?
Yeah, I'll be fine.
All right, well, luckily you have a bye, and then you can get ready for Alabama.
Thank God we have a bye week. That's all I got to say. No, hey, Kentucky's a physical game, and we knew that we were going to come into this and it was going to be physical, so utmost respect for them, and we knew that this game was going to be like this. First road game, it's always going to be a hard test. You go back, I mean, we talked about it earlier in the week that you go look at our first road games the past 2 years, it's kind of been like this, so we came in here expecting to be blow by blow and just try to get out of here with the win, so I'm really proud of the guys.
Well, congrats on the win.
Absolutely, thank you so much.
Guys.
And when it was over, Kirby Smart, a big hug for Brock Vandagriff. He said, yes, I love that young man. He's the kind of guy you'd want your daughter to marry. He was gutty. His team a little bit overmatched in the final analysis from a talent standpoint. Final score, Georgia 13, Kentucky 12. For Greg McElroy, Molly McGrath, our great crew led by Phil Dean, and the birthday boy, Scott